After being excluded from the American Anti-Slavery Convention in London, women's rights activists were furious and decided to start a convention of their own. Elizabeth Cady Stanton was one of the main organizers of the convention, along with her friend Lucretia Mott.
Women in this time were in charge of the household, and their main job was to raise children. Housewives saw themselves as missionaries to their families, influencing moral choices of their children and husbands. In this role, they became arbiters of fashion, diet, and sexual behavior. Many joined the temperance movement and moral reform societies and became public reformers while posing as mother protecting their sons from rumsellers and seducers. They had opportunities in the church which excited them and encouraged them to yearn for more opportunity in other areas such as voting and more authority in the household rather than having the men having all the property rights. They had opposed gender inequality for a long time, but it wasn't until the anti-slavery movement that they first created an organized movement for women's rights.
Wake up in the morning feeling like P.
Time to make some breakfast for my family, like I do every morning.
The legal status of women depended on their marital status. If they weren't married, they had the right to live where they wanted, support themselves in any occupation, and that didn't include the requirement for a college degree or license which only men could have. They also could enter contracts, buy or sell real estate, or accumulate personal property. As a single woman could not sue, write wills, serve as guardians, have cash, stocks, bonds, and livestock, and act as executors of estates. On the other hand, when women got married, they still had legal rights, but were completely reliant on their husbands. They could not own property independent of their husband. All the money women earned during their marriage became their husbands, and they had no protection when their husbands were irresponsible.
Why is it that we are trying to give free black men the right to vote and not women? It's about time that women have equal voting rights as men. I'm ready to advocate my opinion at today's convention.
A pivotal activist for the women's rights movement was Susan B. Anthony. She was born into a Quaker family devoted to social equality, and at the age of 17, she began to collect anti-slavery petitions. In 1851, she met Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and they quickly became close friends and co-workers in social reform. Another reformer was Sarah Grimke, who wrote Letters on the Equality of the Sexes and the Condition of Women of 1838, which were initially published as a series of letters in a newspaper and argued that men and women were equal. Before the Seneca Falls Convention, Elizabeth Stanton and Susan B. Anthony meet to share their thoughts.
Hello, Susan. It is vital for us to express our opinions today at this convention, or we may never see an amendment get passed.
Yes, we must make sure to fully express our viewpoints in order to gain supporters to aid our fight.
At the Seneca Falls Convention, Elizabeth Cady Stanton expressed her viewpoint on women's rights through a declaration of sentiments that was about the injuries and usurpations on the part of man toward women, which were mostly political and centered on the right to vote. Also, with Susan B. Anthony and Lucretia Mott, the convention demanded improved laws on child custody, divorce, and property rights, and argued that women deserved equal wages and career opportunities in law, medicine, education, and ministry. The main focus of the convention was for the right to vote.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is our right to stand up and to ensure that everyone's rights are represented. And when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient suffrage of women under this government, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to demand the equal station to which they are entitled.
Though the reformers were not able to accomplish all of their goals and women's civil equality remained far from realization, they brought about significant changes in the laws governing women's rights to own and inherit property with the wages of their own labor and to gain custody of their children in case of divorce, gained the right to have daughters inherit as much as sons did from wills, and had property acts passed which gave wives the same legal rights as single women to their estates and wages, and helped in the long haul provide the 19th Amendment to give women the right to vote.